Hello everyone, George DeSantis here with a look at the market for the week ending January 12th, 2018. We'll usually start off by showing you the disclaimer. You read that and it simply points out that you should not interpret this video as professional advice because I'm not a professional advisor, investment advisor. So we'll begin by looking at some charts of the S&P and the Dow, etc. So let's begin there. Well, let's start with a weekly chart of the S&P 500 as we often do. And I've had quite a few indicators on the chart, so the chart is sort of crunched up a bit, but I want to use these indicators to illustrate some points. First of all, we can see that the 4 EMA on this weekly chart is above the 9, and 9 is above the 30 weighted moving average. So according to these moving averages, the trend is up, and parabolic being below the most recent bar tells us there is no indication here to actually reverse this to a downtrend. Look at MACD. MACD histogram is still trending up. There is no divergence. RSI 12 is way above the 60% line. I have stochastic on here for change. The stochastic that I use with a 1433, the slow stow or the full stow. And that, of course, is in overbought territory, above the 80% line. But as you probably know, in a very strong uptrending market like this, stochastics and many of these other oscillator type indicators can give you false signals of being overbought or oversold. So when you have a strong uptrend, the oscillators are not very useful. Now Williams percentile, the 30 period, is above the 60% line, and so actually it is a 20% line, and so that's very bullish. And of course, Jerry Appel's indicator, the last one here, which is a sum of rate of change indicator, for a 5, a 15, and a 25-day sum of the rate of change, is very bullish. So no surprise here, the markets remain very bullish, stock market anyway. And let's take a look then at the daily chart. This daily chart of the S&P looks very similar, of course. There is no divergence of MACD. The moving averages are above each other, parabolic below the most recent bar. So all in all, the daily and the weekly chart of the S&P, both very bullish. I want to look at the Dow. Here's a weekly chart of the Dow, and we can Dow 30, and we can see that the industrials rather, and we can see that we're making new highs. And if we look at the Dow Transport, very similar thing. So as I pointed out last weekend, what we're seeing here is that according to Dow theory, we have a bullish market. We have Dow Transports confirming the Dow Industrials, and that usually indicates that this market is likely to go somewhat higher. How high is the big question everybody is sort of toying with. And I would just simply say we will find some indications of a top. We might see a double top. We might see some candlestick patterns. We should see some candlestick patterns like a shooting star or an evening star. And when we get there, we'll discuss those, if and when. And we will. Eventually, the market will turn around, but it ain't doing so right now. We have interest rates low. We have inflation very low. We have international markets doing well. So that's the next thing we're going to look at, as we did last time. And before we turn to the international markets, I forgot to show you this. This is a chart with what is called the Ishimoku cloud. And I can't go through the details of it here, but you can Google it if you're interested in learning more about Ishimoku cloud. It's a Japanese approach. So what we have here, we could see that the market is way above, prices are way above the cloud. Now the cloud tells us, the Ichimoku chart tells us what occurred in the past, right? According to this trend line here, what is happening in the current time, and what we might expect in the future. So I just wanted to show you this chart because Ichimoku cloud is telling us to expect higher prices. It's a weekly chart. All right, let's turn to something else. So now we turn to the international markets. Here's a weekly chart of Brazil, EWZ. And, you know, we saw that the 4 crossed over the 9, 9 above 30 right here. And parabolic went below. So below the price bars. So now we have a nice beginning of an uptrend here in Brazil. And some of these other indicators are starting to trend up likewise. If you look at the Ichimoku cloud on Brazil, it will show us that once it broke through here, the price broke through the cloud here back in July, August, September of last year, it maintained an uptrend all the way here, found support at the cloud and maintained an uptrend and seems to be looking to go higher. Let's look at another international ETF, and that one would be the EEM, which is the emerging markets. And you can see a similar kind of chart here where the trend is up. I won't spend much time on each one of these, and you can see just quickly the Ichimoku cloud, what it looks like. As soon as this market broke above the cloud and tested it, took off again. And that was for the entire year last year, 2017. We had emerging markets trending up. We take a look at a couple of other ones like EWA, which is Australia. And we can see a similar kind of thing here. Not as strong as EEM, but we can see that it's in an uptrend. We can look at another one. For example, Germany, EWG. We can see here that on this weekly chart, still trending up. And look at the Ichimoku cloud. Let me bring that over. And you can see how that broke out at the beginning of the year. Germany has done, the ETF anyway, has done very, very well. And it's predicting nice movements for the future, nice price movement. Let's pause here. Well, let's start off by looking at some other individual stocks here. We look at a weekly chart of Apple. I own quite a significant number of shares of Apple anyway. What we know is that it's been finding some resistance at about 175 at this level here. And so we just about breached that level to the upside. We'll see if it continues to go higher. But Apple is my biggest holding, and I'm not trading it. We'll take a look at Facebook. On this weekly chart, we could see Facebook pull back a bit. I think they ran into some bad press, but they seem to be getting around that. So we now have an inside bar or a bullish harami on Facebook, so we could expect an up move from there. If you look at the Ichimoku chart, you can see that it's clearly in a nice uptrend above the cloud. So not too concerned about Facebook. What else? Berkshire, BRKB. This is one that I bought somewhere here when it was about 175. It pulled all the way back to 162, and then it started trending up, and it hasn't looked back. Right now, Berkshire had a wonderful week. It was up significantly last week. So if you don't own it, hey, it's a good stock to add to your portfolio, I think. How could you go wrong? Look at the cloud chart on it. It's way above the cloud, and it's a steady eddy, you know. All right, let's take a look at something else. That's Berkshire, about Visa. Some of the payment systems. Visa, steady eddy, I like that. Nice uptrend. Many of these oscillators here, these indicators are indicating that it's a powerful uptrend. And if you look at the cloud, here's the cloud. It's way above the cloud and a nice steady climb, okay, on Visa. So that's one of my bigger holdings too. Among the others, what about Baba, a recent one that I added? Baba was a little more volatile after this run up here. It tended to consolidate quite a bit, had a nice week here, and then last week it pulled back a little bit. But I'll be looking to add to BABA. The cloud, here's what the cloud looks like. So you can see that it's way above the cloud, and there's no indication that it's breaking down, except what we have here now is a nice support level here, and then we started trending up again. So we have like a morning star type formation here. Still like BABA. I'll see how far it goes. Let's take a look at something else. What about Microsoft? MSFT. Microsoft is a nice looking chart. It's still trending up nicely. And if you look at the cloud is looking good. Okay, so I like Microsoft. I own it. Let's take a look at some stocks that are mentioned in IBD. Some of the top performing stocks in IBD. For example, the Chinese internet company, YY. YY looks like a nice chart, and it's a very nice uptrend. I don't own it, but it's interesting. It's a very interesting one. I'm not too fond of buying Chinese stocks. It's a communist country. Never know what they're going to come down with. I've had my experience with that with a Russian stock, so I'm a little leery of Chinese stocks. Let's take a look at another one, which is OLED, which is Universal Systems. And Universal Systems had a little drawback here, a little drawdown, and now it's on the upswing again. So I like that. Owned it for a short while and then sold it, but now it looks interesting again. I've been that way for a couple of days now, actually for the last week or two. Another one is NVIDIA. NVIDIA, again, similarly to OLED, to Universal Systems, pulled back a bit, fell into the buy zone between the 9 and 30, and now it looks to be trending up again. Okay, we have time for a few more. How about Align? I made some money with this one before. I traded it. Now it went into the buy zone, and since then it's pulled out of it, and it's been trending up again, and I like that. That's looking quite interesting. So I might look to buy some more shares of Align. Let me take a pause here. Just have time for a couple more, and let's take a look at FFTY. Last week I mentioned this triangle, a target of 36.97, and right now we're at 35.37. Made a new high on Friday. And the other one is the new one, LDRS, which has only been trading for a couple of weeks, but it's making new highs. I bought some. I intend to add to it. It's the ETF of the best performing ETFs, which is kind of nice. I like that. Well, that's all we have time for this week, and have a wonderful weekend. It's almost the end of the weekend anyway, but we'll do this again next week. The market is very bullish. I'm not looking to sell anything here. I'm looking to see what I could add to my portfolio. Have a good day. Bye-bye.